Good morning, everyone. I'm with Botond. Usually we're here on Saturday mornings, but here today it's a Monday morning with Botond. Thanks for showing up, everyone. We got a lot to talk about. There's a lot of quarterback news going on, and we're going to get to Rodgers, Stafford, Watson, all the big names. But first, we got to talk about Jimmy. We got to get Jimmy out of the way first. So, first of all, Botond, thanks so much for coming on. I know it's late over there.
So much thanks to be here. It's a pleasure to be here, especially on Mondays. I've never dreamed of I can be I can be a part of your show on Monday.
You definitely deserve the call up. Let's talk Jimmy. Botond. Last year at this time, if we were said anything like the Niners should sign Tom Brady or the Niners should trade for Aaron Rodgers, people would say would want to like kill you. Like, how dare you say the only quarterback we will consider trading Jimmy Garoppolo for is Patrick Mahomes. End of story. And now every week, whichever quarterback's available, Niner fans are like, I want that guy. So my question to you is, when did this flip? When did Niner fans officially turn on Jimmy G?
I think it's changed at first after the Super Bowl and after our playoff last year, because we can agree with that with a more competent QB, we should have won that game. And with a more competent play calling as well, because I'm not saying that Kyle Shanahan was great, especially in the second half of the Super Bowl. But, I remember when we first talked about Jimmy Garoppolo, and I was really, really skeptical. It was the first time, if I remember well, it was Friday.
Yes,
and
that's right.
Most of the people wanted to kill me, even in the Hungarian faithful group, because I said a lot of bad things about Jimmy. But
Right.
To be honest, at the start of this season, Jimmy wasn't great. He was really bad against the Cardinals. Of course, he has shown some of his talents, but thank you. But what I want to say is that I don't see that he can be a part of this team for a long time if we want to be contenders for the next few years. And I think that after those injuries this year, after that performance this year, those were the key things that changed the mind of the 49ers fans. And of course, if we are talking about Deshaun Watson and other big names like him, for example, Aaron Rodgers, I don't think that there's anyone who would change Jimmy Garoppolo, who would say that he would like to stuck with Jimmy Garoppolo if he can change in that position.
I think it happened gradually. I don't think it was an overnight flip. I think it started with that playoff game against Minnesota. He was bad, but they won. And Niner fans were like, okay, it was just one game. It's just one game, but I love Jimmy still, but I noticed that he was bad. And then the Green Bay game happened. He threw 8 passes. It's like, okay, well, he didn't have to pass. It's because the running game was so good. It's okay. But it's like, that's another thing to file away. And then the Super Bowl happened, and that was rough. He was really bad in that Super Bowl, especially down the stretch. And I think Niner fans were still in denial all offseason, because I tried to talk to him on YouTube, on Sports Illustrated, and say, maybe it's time to move on. I mean, maybe they should get Tom Brady. And Niner fans were still saying, no. Jimmy's the guy. He led us to the Super Bowl. Give him another year. I think they were still in fantasy land. And when he came out and laid an egg week 1, that was it. Like, I was actually going to be kind of nice to him in my post-game grades after that game. Like, well, he didn't have Kittle. He didn't have Debo. Niner fans were like, no, dude, this is it. I am tired of this guy. I think that was the day, the Cardinals game.
Yeah, could be. But if I remember well, the first time we talked about after that Cardinals game, when I was disappointed the most. And there were still fans. Most of the fans said that, no way, we should be with Jimmy Garoppolo because all he does is win. Do you remember when was the first time when a team's fans said that about a quarterback?
Tell me.
Tim Tebow and the Denver Broncos.
That is true. All he does is win. I don't care how he does it. I don't care what his limitations are. You can break it down, show me the film. I don't care. He just wins. It's true. And then he stopped winning.
Yep.
And then when he got left?
Well, I was a big fan of Tim Tebow, but I wasn't a fan of him because he was a great quarterback. I never said that he was a great quarterback. He was a great leader of the team.
True. Real quick, Big Golden Nugget says Cards game was blown by a punt block and a failed 4th and goal. I guess Big Golden Nuggets is still on the Jimmy G. There still are some people who haven't given up on Jimmy G, such as Big Golden Nuggets. So it's nice to see that he has a few fans out there, because it's probably like 8, maybe 9 fans he has at this point. Jimmy, people used to love him, and now he must be one of the most disliked quarterbacks in the league. It happened fast.
Yep, so fast. Actually, it's something like we describe when we are talking about soccer here in Hungary, because, it's the sport of the nation, soccer, but we didn't achieve anything in the past 50 years, so I just couldn't understand why. But it's like with soccer fans, if you have a guy who is the face of the franchise, and we must say that Jimmy was the face of the franchise, because great looking franchise quarterback is always the face of the franchise. And you know what? Jimmy's handsome, and that's why he became the face of the franchise.
It's true. You have 5 good games with that face, 140 million. Boom.
Yep.
Real quick, before we move on from Jimmy, because we don't need to, he's basically almost history. East Bay Chris says, credit to Jimmy. I haven't heard that dude complain once despite all this. And that's a good point, because the NFL is becoming more and more like the NBA, where these franchise quarterbacks are now kind of divas. And if they, like Aaron Rodgers, like Deshaun Watson, like if I don't want to be there, I'm out, and I'm going to make a point about it and get myself out of here. And Jimmy Garoppolo, he never complains. He doesn't tweet. He doesn't send little cryptic messages on Facebook. Credit to him. He's a grown-up in that way. I like that about him.
Yeah, that's why I respect him so much. And that's why I must say that whatever happens this offseason, I must say that best wishes to Jimmy G, because when we are talking about quarterbacks, especially Deshaun Watson, for example, he's a diva, as you said before. We never seen something like that from Jimmy G.
I don't know if he's a diva, but he definitely has diva tendencies. I've never met that guy, but he definitely has diva tendencies in ways that Jimmy doesn't. And the thing is, I think that's one of the reasons why Belichick likes Jimmy so much. I mean, Belichick wants a guy who shuts up, who's quiet, who's deferential. And Jimmy's all of those things, basically,
Yeah, maybe that's why the Patriots wanted to give us a first rounder after last season for Jimmy G.
That's right, because they convinced themselves that Tom Brady was done, and boy, were they wrong. Okay, let's move on. Aaron Rodgers is the draw today. Last week I said, hey, don't be surprised if Aaron Rodgers says he wants out when they lose this upcoming game to the Bucs. If they lose the upcoming game to the Bucs. Now he's basically said it at his post-game press conference. He's like, I don't know what the future holds. We'll see. And now Adam Schefter has said, look, he wasn't happy about the Jordan Love thing. He's not happy that he keeps losing in the playoffs. He may decide he wants out. He may force his way to whichever team he wants. And they listed the Rams and Niners specifically because he owns a house in Southern California and he's from Northern California, went to Cal. The question here is, what do you think the price is for Aaron Rodgers, and is he worth it? Botond.
Well, I do think that in Green Bay there is a lot of respect when people are talking about Aaron Rodgers, and I think that he earned that respect from the franchise as well. That's why I don't think that if he wants out, then the franchise will want to earn as much as they could in a different situation. That's why I do think so that maybe a first rounder or 2 first rounders are a great price for Aaron Rodgers right now.
I think they can get 2 first rounders for Rodgers, even though he's almost 38 or whatever. And is that too much for the Niners? Almost. But I think it's creative. What are you going to say?
The thing is that if I am talking about Aaron Rodgers, I must say that he must be frustrated because he lost the conference championship 2 times in a row. But if he wants to be a Super Bowl contender again, I don't think that right now the 49ers is the best choice for him. So that's why I don't see a possibility where we can get Aaron Rodgers.
I don't think you'd rather go to the Rams?
Yeah, I think that he would prefer that. Even though I know that he was a big fan of the 49ers as a child.
Fair enough. The Niners could pitch to him and be like, hey, we beat the Rams twice this year with Nick Mullins and Jimmy Garoppolo. You come to our team. I mean, we got George Kittle. We got Brandon Ayuk. We got Deebo Samuel. Over there, you got Cooper Kupp. And
we don't have an offensive line.
Oh, that's really true. So let's stick with this, because That's a good point. And that's when we're going to go through all the quarterbacks. And every time we talk about a quarterback, what I'm going to say to you is, well, what about the offensive line? How are the Niners going to address this offensive line? Because it looks to me like with Rodgers, he's great until he gets hit. And once it's clear in a game that his offensive line can't protect him, he kind of looks a little freaked. And I thought he looked a little freaked against Tampa.
He's more like a diva. He's more like a diva when he's got hit. And I think that he has got that arrogant attitude, which makes him, for me, not so sympathetic guy at all.
Absolutely. I mean,
and I do think that the other 49ers fans feels like that. Although I must admit that he is one of the greatest options on the market right now.
Real quick, a slight digression. We'll come back to Rodgers, but I think it's clear that game and their careers have shown why Tom Brady's a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers is a better athlete. He's more mobile. He has probably a better arm. But Brady's the better quarterback. Brady, and why? To me, it's because he's more than a quarterback. He's the coach of the team. He was the coach of the Patriots. He's the coach of the Buccaneers, and he's just has this level of competitiveness that is like, Pele, Michael Jordan, the best of the best ever. He wills his team, the whole team. And to me, when I watch Rodgers, he's supremely gifted, but I watch him on the field and like he's out there for himself. Yep. If the Packers lose this game and his numbers are cool, he'll be like, well, you guys let me down. And Brady has this whole thing where he's like, I'm going to will this team to the win. And it's hard to like define it or put your finger on it, but I think that's basically the difference between the two.
Yeah, and the other thing is that as if I know it well, Aaron Rodgers always played with at least decent, but more likely elite, just stuck with the elite world, with an elite offensive line. And if you remember last year when we beat the Packers for the first time, our defensive line just destroyed that offensive line. And I don't know if you remember that frustration that Aaron Rodgers had that game.
Yes. He basically was like, I quit. It's not going to happen. Forget it. Real quick, we keep talking about, I want to discuss Rodgers a little bit more, but let's bring up that's not it. Let's bring up the contract real quick and just show you why this is feasible for the Niners and why he needs to leave the Packers. First of all, this $37 million cap number is way too high for any team. 20.6%. There's no way they can get this really down. They would have to extend his contract, and they don't want to do that because they drafted Jordan Love. They'd have to lock themselves in long term. So I think he needs to go. And on the Niners, this prorated bonus, they wouldn't be responsible for it. So his number would be like 22 something. And then here it would be like 24 or something. So he's actually affordable for the Niners. And again, I think this move would be a move the Niners would make after June 1, because if you trade him before June 1, look at the cap, the dead cap, they don't save any money. All they save is $5 million trading him before June 1, but they trade him after June 1. They save $22 million. That's a difference of 17. So I think that'd be the one way the Packers like, okay, fine, Aaron, you want to go. You got to wait a little bit because it's not in our interest to trade you before June 1. That's the only thing I'm saying.
Yep. That's a good question. Jerry Moore. Why don't teams sit back and wait until he gets cut? I think that's a great question.
Hold on. Who asked that? Jerry Moore. Why don't teams sit back and wait until he gets cut?
Because there will be a team who will give draft picks for Aaron Rodgers.
But again, I think what Jerry Moore, I think what Schefter's saying and what Jerry Moore might be alluding to is Rodgers could say, no, like I want to go to one team. I'm Aaron Rodgers. I've played here forever. I've earned the right to choose my next team. I think he might say that. And I don't know. And you said, like, why would he choose the Niners? That's fair. He might choose the Rams instead. But if it's down to the Niners or the Rams and you have a 50% chance, like, call. See if you can set up a dinner at Morton's when it opens up and figure that out.
Yeah.
Right? And so, again, the final part of our question is, what is the price and is he worth it? So we're saying maybe 2 first. Let's play it out. Let's say they have to wait until after June 1, which means they'd be trading picks from 2022, not 2021. Would you trade the first rounder in 2022 and Nick Bosa for Aaron Rodgers? Because to me, Nick Bosa is a nice little trade chip the Niners have because he's worth a whole lot. He was the number 2 pick in the draft. People love him, and I have questions about his durability, and he's going to get a lot of money at some point. What's he what I didn't know the chance to the question. Bosa and 2022 1 for Aaron Rodgers. Is that worth it?
Well, it's worth it. But to be honest, if Nick Bosa is going to be okay, at least okay, but in a good shape when we are getting into June, when this trade can come up. I think that we just shouldn't give a first rounder with Nick Bosa to trade for Aaron Rodgers, because defensive ends, and of course elite defensive ends, has a lot of value, almost as much value as a quarterback. So
right. And I'm trying to leverage that in the trade. That's why I'm throwing him out there. This guy is very valuable. He might be worth more than a number one pick. Like, honestly, I think the Niners could offer Nick Bosa to the Jets for that number 2 pick in the draft and get it. Yep. He's very, very valuable.
Yep. And right now he is.
Yeah, he is. So I'm thinking of, I mean, it's a way to avoid trading 3 first-round picks for a 38-year-old quarterback. Trade 1 first-round pick and a player who has 2 ACL surgeries in his past.
Yep.
It's an option. I don't think Niner fans are that excited about it. I think Niner fans love Nick Bosa. But would you rather have Nick Bosa or Aaron Rodgers? I really think Aaron Rodgers on this team could actually lead to the Super Bowl victory he's been looking for 25 years. I think it could happen. I mean, they should have had Brady, because Brady is better than Rodgers. And even if they get Rodgers, they're probably going to have to go through Tampa next year.
Well, imagine the fight between Aaron Rodgers and Mike McGlinchey.
We need to talk about that. So the final point with Aaron Rodgers, and I'm like I said, we got to talk about the offensive line when going through scenarios of adding quarterbacks. The one thing if you can trade for Rodgers after June 1 and trade a 2022 pick and Bosa, you keep the 12th pick in 2021, right? You keep that and you use that on the best offensive tackle available or the best edge rusher available, whichever you want to replace, or you trade down 2 spots and get both. That's what's nice about this, is you keep that 2021 pick and you got options.
Yeah, you get options, but on the other hand, I don't mind that we can just resign Trent Williams. And if we just can't resign Trent Williams, there will be 2 tackle positions, which is problematic. We all know that right now the 49ers front office and also the coaches thinks that Mike McGlinchey is the answer. He's a long-time solution for this team at the right tackle position. So I just can't see it happen. I'm sorry.
Final point, real quick, and you're probably right, but final point that to consider is if the Niners were to get Rodgers somehow, they would give him the extension. They'd say, here's 4 years, and that means it's a signing bonus. Your cap number is low in 2021. It gets bigger as time goes on, and now it's actually easier to re-sign guys like Trent Williams and Jason Verrett. So there's a lot of reasons why it's in the. I mean, I do think it's in the Niners' interest, but I don't know if it'll necessarily get done. It'll be tough.
Yeah.
It'll be tough. So let's move on. There's other quarterbacks out there.
A lot of.
Let's talk Watson. What is the price for Deshaun Watson, and is he worth it? I mean, he's a lot younger than Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is almost 38. Deshaun Watson's 25. So what is the price for him, and is he worth it?
Wow. Deshaun Watson is a really young quarterback who has potentially, I don't see the end of his upside. I don't see where he can't go with his talent. So he can throw the ball. He is more mobile than Aaron Rodgers. He has a great arm, and he is still developing as a quarterback in the NFL right now. So what I see is at least 2, but most likely 3 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson.
Would we agree that he's more expensive in terms of picks and whatever you have to throw in a trade than Rodgers? Yep. He's more expensive.
Yep.
Okay, but here, let me. Okay, so let's play this out. Is this going to be a situation like Rodgers where Watson says, I want out and I want to go to team X, and that's it? Because it seems like Rodgers is going to do that if he does it. It's not just going to be, I'll send me anywhere. It's no, I'm old. I'm Aaron Rodgers. I choose. Is Watson going to say, I need to go to Miami, or is he going to say, I just can't play for Houston? I hate this place.
If I remember well, Watson said before that he doesn't want to play for a white head coach, if I remember well.
Did he say that?
Yeah, if I remember well. Oh, or it was just a rumor, or maybe
it might have been a rumor.
I don't remember.
Publicly. Yeah. Okay, and Kyle is pretty white. I'm pretty sure. He might just be light-skinned. I don't know. But no, you're right. No, it seems to me that we played out with Watson. He might want to go to Miami, or he might want to go to Houston. Excuse me, to the Jets. But those are two AFC teams. It's possible Houston wouldn't really want to send him to those places. And if it's all equal to them, they'd rather send him to the Niners because the Niners are in the NFC. So it's possible the Niners can say, look, Deshaun, do you want to come and play with us? I know our coach is white, but you might have success here. And your team isn't that excited to trade you into the AFC. Are you interested in coming to the Niners? He might be. I mean, if Rodgers is interested in playing for Kyle Shanahan, maybe Watson is. If so, I'm going to keep coming back to this with every quarterback. Instead of trading 3 first-round picks for Watson, could you trade Bosa and a pick for Watson? Could you do that instead? And
that's a possibility, I think.
I would do that.
Because, of course, I'm a big fan of Nick Bosa. I must say
he's very
one of the greatest defensive end talent that I have ever seen playing American football. But that's for sure that he is injury prone. But of course, that's for sure as well that he had an ACL before and he came back almost flawlessly. But we've seen that in the games last year that he had some minor injuries during games when we were scared that what will happen to him. So it's a possibility. I think that we will trade Nick Bosa for Deshaun Watson if we are going to have the chance to do that. And maybe first rounder and Nick Bosa will be a great price for Deshaun Watson. But I do think that we should give something else for them. For example, a second rounder or a third rounder, or maybe Jimmy G.
Hey, I just feel like the Niners are in an interesting spot because the package of Nick Bosa and a 2022 first-round pick is quite enticing. I think it's quite enticing, and a lot of teams might think, oh, okay, like we're going to lose Deshaun Watson, but would I rather get a bunch of picks back from the Jets and send this dude to the AFC, or get Nick Bosa back and a pick and send this guy into a different conference and have our fans buy a bunch of Nick Bosa jerseys? People love Nick Bosa. They love that Nick Bosa dude. I don't know. I feel like it would cushion the blow of losing such a popular player because he's one of the more popular players in the league.
My other problem with Deshaun Watson is that there was a rumor that, if I remember well, he wants to have some kind of control that who the team will promote into the head coach for the Texans.
He wants input. He wants to basically be like part owner of the team.
Yep, but and there's a good question from Kevin Medeiros.
I'm going to bring it up right now. Should we do it? Yeah. Let's do it. Okay.
It's kind of connected with this.
Absolutely.
What I want to say.
If Shanahan is truly a control freak, there is no chance he wants a guy like Rodgers who wants to take control. That's a good point, Kevin. Let's talk about it, Botond. Because that's why Brady's not on the team. Let's be real clear. Yep. That is why Brady's not on the team.
Yep. Shanny just wants a robot who can just do what Shanny wants and nothing else, nothing more.
Robot.
Yep.
Follow directions. Follow orders. Everything works. You just don't mess it up. No. And the thing about the same thing played out with Brady. And what's funny is what Bruce Arians says is all I do is let Brady coach the team. He wants to coach the team. I let him coach the team. It's Tom Brady. But even Bill Belichick wouldn't let him do that. Kyle Shanahan wouldn't let him do that. And I think basically what Rodgers wants is the same. Hold on. I think he is coaching the team in Green Bay. I don't think he gets the credit for it. A lot of people credit Matt LaFleur.
Yep.
He is coaching the team in Green Bay. He would like a little bit of credit. The fact that they didn't let him go for it on 4th down in the red zone is like, okay, man, taking the game out of my hands so we can win it with our defense. Okay. I think he'd like to leave, and I think he'd like to have the type of control that Brady has in Tampa. And I don't know if Kyle Shanahan's willing to give it to him, although he should have learned from his mistake and do it.
And what I do think of is that this is going to be a trend in the NFL. If you remember, it started with Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos.
Yep. I gotta go. I don't want to rebuild. Send me out of here. Yep.
Yep. And next one is Tom Brady with the Buccaneers. And I just can't imagine that Aaron Rodgers wants that same control as you said before. So if he wants to be on a team which is great with great coaches, but do want to have some control over the offense of the team, I think the perfect choice for Aaron Rodgers right now is the New York Jets, to be honest.
Interesting. So Lil Lord Stewie says, what's the percent of signing Rodgers? It's all up to Rodgers. It's what he wants to do. And I just think it's interesting. I mean, I don't know how Aaron Rodgers thinks. I've never met Aaron Rodgers. All I know is that Adam Schefter listed 2 teams this morning, and the Niners are one of them. So I'm going with maybe a little less than 50%. You know, like it's like a roulette board, and the Niners are red. You know what I'm saying? So they got like a 48% chance. I don't know. It seemed it could happen. It's what he wants to do. He said he's from Northern California. He doesn't have a good relationship with his parents. I don't think he wants to be close. I don't think that matters. But he did go to Cal. Bay Area is pretty nice. Got good food out here. I'm just saying, I lived in both places. I'm a Bay Area. I'm partial. Have you ever been to the Bay?
To San Francisco?
Yes.
Yeah, I've been there for a week. I've been to San Francisco, Oakland, Santa Clara, and
you should have hit me up.
I
lived in Oakland. What was that about? Oh, we didn't know each other back then.
It was about 3 years ago.
Where'd you go in Oakland? Did you go to the lake? Where'd you go in Oakland?
Well, I didn't see so much from Oakland because we were just watching the stadiums there.
Oh, nice. Was it okay? Anyway, next time if you're here, I'll show you what to do. I'll take you out.
Okay.
Remember when he said he pretends the speaker in his helmet isn't working so he can call his own plays? That won't fly with Shanny.
That's so true.
Here's the thing, Kyle. If you want to win a Super Bowl, you're gonna get Aaron Rodgers. You should have had Tom Brady. If you wait and get Matthew Stafford, we're gonna get to Stafford in a minute. Matthew Stafford doesn't guarantee you a Super Bowl. You could get Matthew Stafford and never win a Super Bowl. The guy's never won a playoff game. So if you really are serious about winning a Super Bowl soon, this is something you got to do. And if he wants control of certain things, you give it to him because he's Aaron Rodgers. He's earned it. Step aside. Be like Bruce Arians. Hey, good question. Good point, Austin. Let's move on. I think it's time to talk about Matthew Stafford. It was Sunday that the news broke that he and the Lions have mutually agreed to part ways. It makes sense to me. When they gave Dan Campbell a 6-year deal is code for we are rebuilding and we're not going to fire you after 2 losing seasons. And what the Niners gave Kyle Shanahan, it's like, look, man, take your time. Take your time. And from a quarterback's perspective, I don't want to be on that. I don't want to be part of that. I don't want to be on the take your time team. I want to be on a team that's going to win. So he's out. And the Niners obviously are linked to any freaking quarterback for obvious reasons. So what is the price for Stafford in your mind, and is he worth it?
Well, I think that the Lions would let him go for a single first rounder.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure of that, but at maximum, Jimmy G and the first rounder. Because Jimmy G can be a great bridge quarterback if he can stay healthy.
Sure, absolutely. Let him go lose in Detroit. I mean, what's he going to say? Why not? Okay. So a first for Stafford. Here's the problem. Niners offered the 12th pick in the draft for Stafford. What if the Broncos offer the 9th pick, or what if Carolina offers the 8th pick? Why would Detroit do the Niners that solid? It seems like the Niners. It's going to be a bidding war, and he's going to go for more than that 12th pick. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a possibility, I think. But
I do think that they want him.
But I do think that this Denver, for example, will stay with Drew Lock for another season.
Okay.
I do think that the Bears are a great question. I think if what they will do.
Sure. He'd be the most talented quarterback they've had in a long time. Yeah. The Bears. Yep. Would you trade Nick Bosa for Matthew Stafford?
Nope.
I don't think I would either. I don't think Stafford's good enough.
No way.
I wouldn't.
No way. Stafford can be really great, a much greater quarterback than he is right now in Kyle Shanahan's system, because Stafford can make any throws in the NFL.
He certainly can. But there's something about Stafford. We got to be honest about him. Physically, he can do it all, but there is some disconnect with him. He is not an upper echelon quarterback. He's not a tier 1 quarterback. He's below it, despite his footwork, his experience, and his cannon arm. He just isn't there. I mean, he has excuses, but there are a lot of quarterbacks who've had similar situations and were able to win despite team limitations. And those are the greats of the league. But that I feel like some people consider Stafford in that level. And it's like, if you just put him on the Niners, all of a sudden he's going to look like Andrew Luck.
Nope.
No, I don't think so.
Nope.
No.
I think that Stafford can be much more than a game manager, but I don't think that he can win single-handedly a playoff game or a Super Bowl. He has to have a great playbook behind him, and we all know that Kyle Shanahan can just freeze in the Super Bowls, especially in the second half of Super Bowls.
Yeah.
He's a specialist of that. So I don't mind that Matt Stafford can be a long-time solution for this team, and that's why I'm not saying that we should give a first-rounder for Matthew Stafford. I'm still a greater fan of drafting a quarterback with Kyle Shanahan and see what he can do with a rookie quarterback who he chooses and who does what he says exactly.
I just don't like sending the 12th pick in the draft for a veteran quarterback because you can't protect him. You can't protect him. And I think the Niners are trying to tell themselves like, well, the offensive line was good enough in 2019 if we just run the ball and get a more competent quarterback. No, it's not good enough. And if you bring in Matthew Stafford and you trade the 12th pick for him plus other stuff, how are you going to improve the offensive line? Who's the right tackle next year? McGlinchey. And so do you really expect Matthew Stafford to make it through the season? 17 games, no injuries. I wouldn't, because as good as he is, I think part of the reason he's not a tier 1 guy, he's very tough, but he also takes on some crushing hits. I mean, there's a lot of clips of him on Twitter, him running around, getting almost knocked out. It's like, wow, what a competitor. Like, yeah, you know who doesn't take hits like that? Tom Brady. And that's why he's part of the reason he's so great. Yeah. He'll get sacked, but he doesn't take like hits where he's down for like 10 seconds. Like, oh my God, is he alive? Is he okay? No, he's fine. He takes glancing blows. So Stafford is a guy who takes like full frontal shots. And behind this offensive line, he needs to go to Indianapolis and play behind a brick wall. That's what if I were him, that's what I would ask for. And I guess Rodgers too. But the thing with Rodgers is you trade him, you keep that. You trade for him, you keep that 12th pick. Now you have a way to actually get a player who can bookend Trent Williams, and you can protect Aaron Rodgers. I like that a little bit better. I like Stafford, but one, you can't protect him, and two, trading for Matthew Stafford doesn't guarantee you that you even get to the Super Bowl. You got to go through Tom Brady, man. Stafford isn't as good as Tom Brady. What is your plan to take down Tom Brady in the NFC? Because he's not going anywhere. He's going to be playing when he's 47. Watch.
Yeah, that's a possibility, I think. He will play until Peyton Manning. He could not make as much throws in the next few years that he made before, but he is going to be a field general, and he will always know what to do in different situations.
Yes. Okay, final quarterback hypothetical. What is the price for Matt Ryan, and is he worth it? This is the guy people aren't really talking about because he hasn't requested a trade. He's not disgruntled. It's just that it could happen because he's even more expensive next year than Rodgers is. I think he's got $40 million. It's just ridiculous. And the Falcons have a new coach. They have the 4th pick. Most people expect him to take a quarterback, and then Ryan can say, "Ooh, yeah, I'd like that trade now. Thank you very much." What is the price for Matt Ryan, and is he worth it?
Mostly because of his contract and because of his age, because he's older than Matthew Stafford, and he's not on the same level as Aaron Rodgers is, for example.
He's not. He's really not.
Maybe a second rounder is enough for him, and it's just because of his contract. His contract can be the only reason why we can get him for a second rounder.
See, that's why I brought him up into this conversation. You could get Matt Ryan for like a 2022 second. That's it. Because basically you're doing the Falcons a favor. You're taking that contract off their hands. You don't have to trade a first-round pick for Matt Ryan. You don't have to trade Nick Bosa for Matt Ryan. You trade a second next year. Keep your first this year. Get a right tackle. Protect him. You can do pretty well. So to me, what's intriguing about Matt Ryan is the price. But then the more I think about it, like, is he worth it? Like, is Matt Ryan good enough? Again, you got to go through the Bucks. and Tom Brady. If you don't get Rodgers, he's going to go somewhere else. He could go to the Rams. And now you got to go through Rodgers and the Rams. Is Matt Ryan enough? Is Matthew Stafford enough, given that Rodgers and Brady are going to own this conference for a couple more years? I'm not sure it is, man. I'm not sure it's enough.
Nope. I don't think so that he is enough.
I mean,
there's no way that I can see right now that how we can beat those teams just by Matthew Stafford or Matt Ryan.
Now, but if it came down to
what,
go.
And you know what? If I must change, if I must pick a quarterback from those that we were talking about today, I must say that I would go with Deshaun Watson.
Interesting. He's 25, and the price tag for him is going to be similar to the price tag for Aaron Rodgers. It's a good point. You could sign him. You could maybe extend his deal, make it work a little bit better. And again, I think you might have a leg up because you're in the NFC. Now, the other thing is, though, if Houston trades Deshaun, they're not going to be worried about contending anytime soon. They may not care which conference they trade him to. That's the one thing. But still, I'd like to see what Bosa plus a first-round pick would get him. I do think to get Watson, you'd have to trade that 12th pick.
Yeah,
you can't.
That's for sure.
You got to trade the 12th pick and Bosa, and that's just a starting point.
Yep.
All right, we got a question from Steve O, and it basically ties into our next topic. Try to bring Phillip Rivers out of retirement for $15-20 million. Never misses a game and is competent enough to run this offense. Question is, how does the quarterback situation change with the retirement of Breeze and Rivers? Now, before Rivers retired, I started tweeting, the Niners should sign this guy. He might come here for $15 million. I thought he played way better in the playoffs than Ben Roethlisberger did. Roethlisberger looked like the guy who needed to retire, not Rivers. Too late. Dude retired. I don't know if you can get the guy to come out of retirement. I'm guessing you can't. He has 13 children or something like that. And he lives on the other side of the country. So the original question, how do those retirements change the Niners QB situation?
Well, before the season and most likely after the regular season, I was like, okay, we might have some problems in the market when we are going to look for new quarterback. But with the retirement of Drew Brees and Phillip Rivers, it's getting much more complicated because there are two new teams, one new team, exactly the Colts, who are looking for a new quarterback. Because I do think that Sean Payton will be with Jameis Winston and and.
But you don't know it. You're right. It's a wild card. There's two new teams looking for quarterbacks, and it's interesting.
Yep. So what I think of is that the New Orleans Saints might not be on the market this year for a new quarterback, but there's a chance that they will be, because we all remember how everybody thought of Jameis Winston when he got into the draft. They thought that, this guy is an elite talent, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be great with him. And he just didn't prove that. He was bad at quarterback, and I still think that he is not good at quarterback position. And it's the only reason why I'm a bit why I can't say that Sean Payton wouldn't stuck with him is what Drew Brees said to him after his last game in the NFL, because he said to him that this is your team now. And I do think that they had that conversation before. Mm-hmm. I do think that Drew Brees knew that before, that he will retire after this season. So
I agree. The thing with the Saints, they don't have cap space, they've put a year of work into Winston, so they're invested. They've put a bunch of years of work into Taysom Hill. They're invested. I do think they're going to draft a quarterback. It may not be in round one, but I was looking at the Vegas odds of who their starting quarterback is going to be next year. The top college rookie quarterback that they listed as, can you guess?
Nope.
Kyle Trask.
Yes.
Yes. Absolutely. So look, the Saints to me are another team that's going to be competing with the Niners in the draft to take a quarterback. The Colts are a total wild card. They could draft a quarterback. They could trade for a quarterback. They could sign a quarterback. So if the Niners want Rodgers, so do the Colts. If the Niners want Stafford, so do the Colts. And what the Colts have to offer is probably less taxes and an offensive line that's way better. You don't have to worry about the Mike McGlinchey experience.
Yeah, but if we are talking about, for example, Aaron Rodgers or Matthew Stafford, I do think that is more important for them to be on a competitive team with a great offensive line.
Yeah. I'm sorry. If Aaron Rodgers, I'm sure people around the league have seen the Mike McGlinchey highlight reels from this season. He wants to play behind that. I don't care what Pro Football Focus says about that dude. You see for yourself, and that's you playing back there. Nah. Yeah, I really think that whatever the Niners do at quarterback, it has to include a corresponding move at right tackle. I don't care if they say they believe in Mike McGlinchey. They said they believed in Solomon Thomas. They said they believed in Dante Pettis. I don't care. I've seen that full play. You better find something. You better have another. You got to have a plan. If they traded Mike McGlinchey right now, what are you worth? Anything?
Third rounder or fourth rounder?
Take it. Take that. Let me get that. Let me get that third round pick. My God, because I really feel his value is only going down. All right, let's move on. Jerick McKinnon, his interview with Deebo Samuel and Richard Sherman's exit interview. It is very interesting how these players are talking about leaving the team. First of all, I think it says more about them than it says about the Niners. It's a bad look. It's a really bad look, especially Jerick McKinnon. Richard Sherman was much more professional, I guess, about it, but he was kind of saying the same thing, like, I'm not coming back, and here's why. But at least he didn't say F no. So what I'm saying is, it seems like kind of a pattern now, like 2 or 3 different examples. What do you read of this? What do you make of this? Is this just young people acting poorly?
Well, the thing is with Jerick McKinnon that I do think that he should give this team at least some kind of respect, because this team waited for him for so long to be a part of this team. They waited him to get healthy again, and they just tried to prove to everybody that they were wrong when they said that Jerick McKinnon is not going to be a legit NFL running back again. Mm-hmm. That's why at least he should say thanks for the 49ers, and at least they should say that, sadly, but I don't think that I will pray for the 49ers. Not that F no, on to the next city.
I mean,
it was so disrespectful.
It's very disrespectful.
If I don't see that there are any teams after that interview who wants to give him a chance again in the NFL.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. It seems like I wouldn't. Yeah, I'd be interested. Like, would you want to sign Jerick McKinnon? First of all, he looked like a guy who shouldn't be in the league last year.
Yep.
But put what he said to the side. I don't think he merits a spot in the league anymore just based on talent. And then for a team to look at him and be like, wow, that's your attitude toward the franchise that tried to bring you back from, the abyss of your career. Jeez. So
on the other hand, if these players are saying things like that, I must say that there's something wrong inside in what we cannot see. That's why I said some weeks ago that if Richard Sherman leaves the team, I just want to be there and I just want to listen to him, what he is saying, why he is not going to play for the 49ers again, because we knew that John Lynch said that he wants Richard to play for the 49ers next season as well. So there's something wrong inside, which we cannot see. I learned an American sentence about that. You said about 6 weeks ago that the fish rots from its head.
It's true. It's true. I just don't understand what it could be. I mean, what is going on that all these guys are so bitter on the way out? Is it just that they were led to believe that they were part of a family and they were going to be here through thick and thin, and then, the cap went down, we got to make some tough decisions? I kind of feel like sympathetic for the Niners here. Like, what are they supposed to do? We can't create more cap space. Sorry, Richard. I mean, they should have got rid of See you, Richard. See you, McKinnon. Like, you got to go. You got to bounce.
I think that something went wrong with the trade of DeForest Buckner, because before that trade, John Lynch said that DeForest will be with us for a long, long time. And shortly after that, they just traded him for a first rounder.
So no one's safe.
What does it tell? What does it tell about you if you make an interview like that and then that move?
All that stuff you talked about, we're a family. All that stuff you said about DeForest Buckner, not going anywhere. Now I can't trust a word you say. Yeah. And I think what the Niners liked about Shanahan, the players, Shanahan and Lynch the first few years, is they felt that they were straight shooters. They'll tell me straight. John Lynch was a player. He knows what it's like to be in my shoes. He knows how you can be kind of screwed over by a team. He's not going to do that to me. Kyle, he's a straight shooter. And now I think finally 4 years in, they're like, wait a second. You led me astray. You didn't live up to your word. I think there might be some of that going on. But again, McKinnon, stop whining, dude. The Niners gave you $14 million essentially not to play football. Just be grateful. And Richard Sherman, dude, stop whining, man. The Niners kept putting you out on the field even though you were hurting their defense. Just be grateful. They revived your career when the Seahawks were done with you. Just be grateful.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying. So I guess they have a gripe, but in this very rare instance, my sympathies go to the franchise. File question. Daniel Jeremiah, the number one dude at NFL Network, came out with his first mock draft. He doesn't make a lot of them. And he gave the Niners Kyle Pitts, which is a very interesting pick because everyone thinks the Niners are going quarterback. They may not. In this mock draft, he said basically the top 4 quarterbacks would go in the top 8 picks. The Niners would be shut out, and they would just take the best player available. And you could certainly argue that that's Pitts. That guy looks like Travis Kelce with extra speed, which would mean he's so like the best player. So good.
So much more athleticism.
And might even be a better blocker too. I mean, the guy looks like
guy is a monster.
Yeah, he's a monster. He might be the best pass catcher in this draft. Like, I mean, compare him to Devontae Smith. Who's going to have a more success in the NFL? I don't know. So it's a legit pick. What do you think of it?
Well, first of all, I must say that I do think that George Kittle is the best tight end of the league. But I do think as well that the greatest competition will just came into the league after this draft with Kyle Pitts, because I do think that he can be on the same level if he can't be better than George Kittle is right now, because he's faster.
Not a better blocker than Kittle, but he's way better. He's the kind of guy who could lead the entire NFL in receiving like Kelce does. I'm telling you, when he's going to be on a team, he'll be the number 1 receiver on the team, not the number 1 tight end.
It doesn't matter where he goes. Doesn't matter where he goes.
I've watched a lot of Kyle Pitts because I've watched a lot of Kyle Trask. And one of the nice things about Kyle Trask is how much he trusts Kyle Pitts. There's like a lot of these college quarterbacks, they drop back and they're like, oh man, where do I go? Who's open? What do I do? With Trask, he's very decisive, but it's easy. It's like, where's Kyle Pitts? Boom. Boom. It's like, yeah, absolutely. I would do the same thing. So yeah, he's really good. Only thing I'm saying is I don't know if the Niners can afford to not draft for need for the second year in a row. They didn't draft for need last year. They took a D tackle. That was a mistake. Yep. They passed on Tristan Wirfs, who, if they had Tristan Wirfs right now, hell yeah, they'd take Kyle Pitts. Imagine. But now I feel like they're back in that position where they got to take an offensive lineman. They have to take an offensive lineman.
I just can't see how we can get Kyle Pitts on the draft. Okay, I know, just draft him in the 12th position on the draft, but this team has so much more needs.
Right.
And actually, I'm not sure that we are going to have that first rounder on the draft day.
Of course.
And
it's like you get Kyle Pitts
even when we have that, and there's still a great quarterback available on the draft, and we didn't sign until that point a quarterback, then we will draft a quarterback. I just can't see it happen. I would be happy because those weapons with Pitt, just imagine Ryan Mostert, Jeff Wilson.
It would be unfair. He's so good. He might actually be better than Kittle. He'd be their best. Oh my God. The only thing is, you could have all the weapons in the world. If your offensive line stinks, your quarterback gets hurt, and it doesn't matter. Now you're back to CJ Beathard. It doesn't matter. So it's a shame that they can't take BPA. They can't go best play. It's a shame, and it's their fault. So to me, there is a scenario where if Pitts is on the board, he is the best player available. And I'm not saying the Niners should take a lesser player at 12 for need. You trade down. If Kyle Pitts is available and you want to take an offensive lineman, a lot of teams will like Kyle Pitts at 12. He's a great player. You leverage him and you trade down. It's what you have to do. Sorry. Again, unless you can find a way to overhaul this offensive line in free agency, which isn't going to happen.
Yep. I just can't see it happen. I would be happy. I would be so happy because I like those kind of tight ends who are mismatch for any defenders in the league. And I do think that Kyle Pitts is a mismatch for anyone in the NFL
also,
right now.
What's cool about Pitts is he gives you options with Kittle.
Yeah.
Because Kittle's very expensive. Kittle isn't young. Kittle just missed 8 games. If you feel like, hey man, we want to move on from Kittle, maybe we want to cash out Kittle while trade Kittle while his value's at an all-time high. We can trade Kittle for a first-round pick next year if he continues to have injuries and replace him with someone who's even better. Gives them options. I'm saying the Niners are getting very expensive with all these players they got to pay. They might get Deshaun Watson. They may have a quarterback who's getting $40 million a year. Eventually, they're going to have to make some tough decisions. It could be Bosa. It could be Kittle. But if you get a guy like Pitts, now you have options. Now you can trade a guy for multiple firsts. It's interesting. I still don't think they can do it. I still think unless if they start this year with Mike McGlinchey as their right tackle and Sean Coleman as the backup, I just feel really bad for the quarterback. That's all I'm saying. I feel really, really, really bad for the quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah, and I will say the negative guy for the next year as well.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna be here. We're gonna be here all offseason very politely being like, guys, they really messed up. And Niner fans are gonna be like, how can you say that? You don't even know. Give it a chance. Let's see. And then everyone's gonna say in training camp, oh, Mike McGlinchey, best shape of his life. He's looking terrific. Kyle Shanahan really likes him. First game, gives up 3 sacks. That's what's gonna happen. All right, Botond. I think we've reached the logical end of our show. It was fun to go through all the different scenarios. I hope we got some type of further understanding of where the Niners stand. Maybe we did. Maybe we didn't. But
hopefully.
So everyone, thanks for hanging out with us for the last 45 minutes, hour. And we'll be back next week or this week. We'll probably be back on Saturday. So I'll talk to you soon.
See ya.
Hello? Sorry. That was
just forgot to end the podcast.
Oh!